You are your only competition, not the person next to you, not the one who seems to have it all, just you. Every day you wake up, you get a new chance, a new page, a blank canvas, and whether you paint it with excuses or progress, that choice is yours. Improving yourself isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up, especially when it's hard, when no one's watching, when the world doubts you, and even when you doubt yourself. I'm not here to talk about overnight success. That's a myth. Real success is boring. It's built in the silent hours, in the small sacrifices, in the discipline no one claps for. Be hungry, not for approval, but for growth, for learning, for becoming the person you dream about. Speak up even when your voice shakes. Learn something new even when it scares you. Fail proudly because failure means you tried. Let your flaws be your fuel. Let criticism be your compass. And let your ambition be louder than your fear. You don't need permission to grow. You don't need a crowd to become great. All you need is that voice inside of you that says, "Oh, we are not done yet." Every day is an invitation. So ask yourself this: what did I do today to become better than I was yesterday? Because the truth is, you are the project and the masterpiece. We live in a world obsessed with comparison. Scrolling through highlight reels, we see someone else's success and immediately question our own journey. But here's the truth no one tells you enough. You are not in a race with anyone else. The only person you're ever meant to outdo is the person you were yesterday. Improving yourself starts with self-awareness, not self-judgment. It's not about tearing yourself down because someone else seems ahead. It's about asking yourself, am I moving forward? And am I doing the best with what I've got? No one else has your story. No one else has walked in your shoes. And that means your progress will always look different. And that's exactly how it should be. When you make others your benchmark, you lose sight of your own potential. You start living by timelines that aren't meant for you. You rush, you panic, you shrink. But when you become your own benchmark, something changes. You start growing steadily, deeply, and authentically. Because now your only focus is becoming better than the version of you that existed yesterday. Let's be honest, the pressure to keep up can be exhausting. But once you flip the narrative and say, I'm only competing with myself, it becomes freeing. It's not about beating someone to a finish line. It's about building a version of yourself that you're proud of, bit day by day. Progress doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be yours. Being your own competition is not passive. It takes courage, commitment, and radical honesty. It's asking yourself tough questions like, where did I settle? Or what excuses am I making? And what's one thing I can do better today? It's about cutting through the noise, focusing in and moving with intention. Celebrate the small wins, the quiet improvements, the habits no one sees, because those are the moments that build greatness. Comparing yourself to others is easy, but measuring your own growth takes discipline and self-respect. You don't need to be the best. You need to be better than before. And that's what real success looks like. Here's the thing, when you treat your past self as your baseline, you stay grounded in your purpose. You stop chasing shadows and start creating substance. You stop seeking applause and start seeking growth. And every day becomes an opportunity, not a race. So look in the mirror, not at the competition, not at your peers, not at the world, and ask that reflection, what's the next level of me that I haven't stepped into yet? Because the moment you realize that the only person you need to beat is you, that's the moment you take your power back. Greatness doesn't happen in a burst of brilliance. It's not created in moments of hype or when everything feels exciting. Greatness is born in the quiet, unglamorous hours when no one's watching, when it's not easy, and when you're tempted to quit. That's where consistency lives, and that's where transformation begins. It's easy to be motivated for a day. Anyone can post a quote, watch a reel, or make a plan. But what separates the dreamers from the doers is the ability to show up even when it's not convenient, even when you don't feel like it, even when progress feels invisible. Because the truth is, motivation fades, but habits stay. Consistency isn't about being perfect every day. It's about choosing to show up over and over again, even if it's messy, even if you're tired, even if yesterday was a disaster. It's not glamorous, but it's powerful. Every tiny action adds up like drops of water that carve out stone. One page read, one rep done, one bold step forward. They all count. And you look at people who are successful, confident, or seemingly unstoppable. It's not luck. It's not magic. It's repetition. It's discipline. It's waking up and deciding, I won't break the chain today. It's about being reliable to yourself. Not just when it feels good, but especially when it doesn't. Consistency builds credibility, not just with the world, but with you. The more you show up for yourself, the more you believe you can. Confidence isn't something you're born with, it's something you earn through small, repeated wins. That trust in yourself, that's the real glow up. Here's the catch: consistency is boring. It's not dramatic, there's no standing ovation, and that's exactly why it works. Because while everyone else is chasing instant results, you're building something unshakable, something permanent, something real. And that's rare. You'll have off days, you'll stumble. But consistency isn't about never falling, it's about never staying down. It's about saying, okay, today didn't go as planned, but I'm still in the game. Progress lives in that bounce back, in that relentless decision to try again. So if you want to improve yourself every day, forget perfection, forget hacks. Focus on the one thing that never lies: your effort, repeated daily. Because the life you want isn't built in a moment, it's built in the minutes you choose to commit. Let's get something straight. Perfection is a myth. It's a moving target created by fear, polished by comparison, and sold as the standard. But in reality, perfection isn't the goal. Progress is. Perfection makes you hesitate. Progress pushes you forward. When you chase perfection, you become paralyzed by pressure. You wait for the right time, the perfect plan, the flawless execution. But here's the truth: perfect timing doesn't exist. Real growth is messy. It's filled with awkward first tries, ugly drafts, and days when nothing clicks. That's part of the process. You have to be willing to be bad at something first, before you ever get good at it. Wanting to improve doesn't mean pretending to have it all together. It means showing up with honesty and effort, no matter how imperfect it looks. We live in a world that filters everything: photos, emotions, realities. And it tricks us into thinking we have to be flawless to be worthy. But the truth, your rawness is your power. Your willingness to try, to stumble, and still move forward, that's what sets you apart. People don't connect with perfection. They connect with truth. And your truth is enough. You don't grow by obsessing over mistakes. You grow by learning from them. Every setback, every flaw, every awkward step is a lesson. When you start to embrace that, you stop being afraid of failure. You stop hiding. You start living boldly, taking risks, and owning every part of your journey. It's not weakness to show your cracks. It's bravery. Because the people who aim for progress over perfection understand something powerful. Done is better than perfect. Showing up imperfectly still moves you forward. Sitting still, waiting to be flawless, never does. Think about this. If you're always trying to be perfect, you're never fully present. You're in your head. You're chasing an illusion. But when you embrace progress, you're grounded. You're alive. You're learning. And you're free. So let go of the idea that you have to be perfect to be powerful. You don't. You just have to be real. You just have to be relentless. And most of all, you just have to begin. Progress doesn't need to be polished. It just needs to be yours. Everyone wants to grow. Everyone wants the glow up, the transformation, the breakthrough. But very few are willing to sit in the fire that growth demands. Because here's the truth most people avoid. Real growth is uncomfortable. It's messy. It stretches you in ways you didn't ask for. You don't grow by staying safe. You grow when you do the thing that scares you. When you say yes to the unknown, when you leave behind what's familiar, even if it was comfortable. Discomfort is the price of progress, and most people stop the minute it shows up. But if you want a different life, you've got to be willing to feel different things. The gym doesn't make you stronger by keeping you relaxed. It breaks your muscles to rebuild them. Same with life. If it's stretching you, challenging you, forcing you to look inward, that's not a sign to stop. That's a sign to lean in. Because growth never feels good in the moment, but it's shaping something powerful underneath. There will be moments when you'll want to run. Quit. Go back to what's easy, but that's where your old life lives. Your new life. Your next level. It's on the other side of that discomfort. You don't get stronger by staying where it's safe. You get stronger by showing up, shaking, sweating, stumbling, and doing it anyway. Discomfort is your invitation to evolve. It shows you exactly where you've been playing small. It highlights your limits, not to mock you, but to stretch them. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you're rewiring your mind to handle more, believe more, and be more. And let's be honest, Most people settle because comfort is addictive. It feels good, it feels familiar. But it's also where dreams go to die. If you're always chasing ease, you'll never build endurance. And without endurance, you'll never make it through the long game of success. The strongest people you admire, they didn't get there by being comfortable. They got there by leaning into the discomfort, not running from it. They said, "This hurts, but I'm staying in it." Growth is not pain-free, but it is worth every uncomfortable step. So next time discomfort shows up, don't shrink, don't hide. Look it in the eye and say, "I see you." And I'm still moving forward. Because when it starts to burn, when it starts to hurt, that's not a red flag. That's the beginning of your transformation. Your voice is your power. And if there's one thing life will constantly challenge, it's your right to use it. From the boardroom to the dinner table, there will always be moments where you're made to feel too loud, too much, too ambitious, too emotional. Speak up anyway. Stand tall, especially then, because every time you silence yourself to keep the peace, you start a war within. Every time you hold back your opinion to fit in, you chip away at your confidence. Your voice was not made to be hidden. It was made to lead, to impact, to shift energy in rooms where people forgot how to listen. But speaking up is not easy. It's vulnerable. It's uncomfortable. It exposes. You might be misunderstood. You might be dismissed. But here's the truth. Being silent won't protect you from being judged. So if you're going to be judged anyway, make it count. Say what needs to be said. Standing tall doesn't always mean being the loudest. It means being rooted in your truth. Owning your story, holding your ground even when it shakes beneath you. Confidence isn't about never doubting. It's about standing tall even when you do, even when your voice trembles, even when no one claps. You don't need permission to speak your truth. You don't need everyone to agree with you. You just need the courage to stop shrinking. Because when you speak up, you inspire others to do the same. Your courage becomes contagious. And that ripple becomes change. You have something the world needs. Your perspective, your passion, your presence. Don't rob the world of that because someone told you to stay in line. Make your own line. Break their boxes. Set your own standard. That's what leaders do. That's what trailblazers do. If you feel small, speak anyway. If you feel afraid, speak anyway. Power isn't the absence of fear. It's decision to move through it. You don't grow by staying quiet. You grow when you show up and say, "This is who I am. This is what I believe. This is my space too." So speak up even if your voice shakes. Stand tall even if your knees do too. Because when you own your truth out loud, you stop asking the world for a seat at the table and start building your own damn table. Failure. The word that scares people more than anything else. But here's the reality. There is no success story without failure in its foundation. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's the road that takes you there. Every fall, every rejection, every no you hear, it's part of the journey. We're raised to fear failure. We're taught to avoid it, hide it, be ashamed of it. But that's a lie. Failure isn't the enemy. It's the greatest teacher you'll ever have. It shows you where to grow, what to fix, what you're made of. It builds character, clarity, and resilience. And those are the real building blocks of success. The people you admire, the ones who seem unstoppable, they've failed more times than they've succeeded. You just see the wins. But behind every win is a graveyard of rejections, mistakes, and heartbreaks. They didn't get there by being perfect. They got there by being relentless. You're going to mess up, you're going to take wrong turns, you'll be misunderstood, underestimated, and maybe even laughed at. Good. Let them laugh. Because what matters most is not the fall. It's what you do next. Get up, again and again. That's what separates the successful from the spectators. When you fail, don't run from it. Don't hide it. Own it. Learn from it. Let it sharpen you. Let it make you dangerous, because failure, when embraced, becomes fuel. And once you realize that, you become unstoppable. You stop fearing the fall and you start daring to fly. Success isn't smooth. It's jagged, it's messy, it's full of scars. And those scars, they're not ugly, they're proof that you fought for something, that you had the courage to try, that you cared enough to risk it. There's no shame in falling. The only shame is refusing to rise. Every rejection is redirection. Every failure is feedback. The path to your goals isn't a straight line. It's a battlefield, but the people who make it through, they're the ones who weren't afraid to look failure in the face and say, "Is that all you've got? So fail loudly. Fail proud." Because if you're failing, it means you're in the arena. You're in the fight. And that's exactly where greatness is born. If you dare to dream big, speak up, stand tall, or chase something bold, criticism is coming. That's a guarantee. People will have opinions. They'll tell you what you should be, how you should act, what lane you should stay in. And here's your job. Take it in, but don't take it personally. Criticism isn't always an attack, it's information. Sometimes it's useful, sometimes it's noise. Your power lies in knowing the difference. Let it sting, but don't let it stop you. Let it challenge you, but don't let it change who you are at the core. The world will always have something to say, especially when you're doing something they've never done or don't understand. But your job is not to shrink to make people comfortable. Your job is to grow so big that even the noise gets drowned out. Let them talk. You keep building. Real growth happens when you learn to turn judgment into feedback and feedback into fuel. Not all criticism is hate. Some of it is guidance in disguise. Even the harshest words can teach you something about your work, your character, or your own strength. It's not about protecting your ego. It's about strengthening your mindset. And when the criticism is just hate, just noise, just someone trying to project their fear onto your ambition, smile and keep walking. Because when people criticize what they don't understand, that's not your burden, that's their limitation. And you're not here to live in other people's limits. You're here to rise, to lead, to grow. So when someone throws criticism at you, ask yourself, can I use this? Can I learn from this? Or do I need to leave it behind? That kind of clarity keeps you grounded. It keeps you moving. It turns you into someone who doesn't break under pressure, but builds under it. Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet were shaped by criticism. They weren't broken by opinions. They were built by resistance. They used every you can't as a reason to say, watch me. And that fire, that quiet fury, that's what made them unstoppable. So take the criticism, take the doubt, take the whispers behind your back. And don't let it make you bitter, let it make you better. Because when you learn to turn their doubts into your drive, you stop chasing approval and start becoming undeniable. Ambition isn't a dirty word. It's not arrogance. It's not aggression. It's your fire, your hunger, your drive to become more than what the world expects of you. And if that makes people uncomfortable, so be it. You weren't born to stay small, you were born to rise. There's this unspoken rule that says ambition should be quiet, that you should tone it down, dim your light, not want too much. But here's the truth. You don't owe the world modesty at the expense of your dreams. You don't need to apologize for wanting something extraordinary. Want it fully. Want it out loud. Fueling your ambition starts with owning your desire to grow, to lead, to make an impact, and refusing to feel guilty for it. You're allowed to want the spotlight. You're allowed to want more money, more power, more opportunity. Wanting more doesn't make you selfish. It makes you brave. People will try to make you feel like your ambition is too big, that you're too intense, too much, or too fast. Let them talk. You keep moving. Because your ambition is not just about you. It's about the doors you'll open for others, the legacy you'll leave, and the limits you'll shatter. Your dreams are valid. Your goals are possible. But they won't happen by accident. They need fuel. And that fuel comes from discipline, from focus, from showing up for yourself every single day. Feed your ambition with action, with belief, with a refusal to quit when things get hard. You can be kind and ambitious, humble and hungry, grounded and bold. The world wants to label people as either or, but you get to be both. You get to be all. Don't let anyone box your ambition into something small and acceptable. Set it on fire. Make it unstoppable. When your ambition comes from your core, from your story, from your truth, nothing can touch it. Not rejection, not failure, not even fear, because now you're not just chasing something, you're becoming something. And that kind of fire, that kind of passion, it lights up every room you walk into. So don't tone it down, don't play it safe, don't wait for permission. Fuel your ambition like your life depends on it, because the life you dream of does. Let's get real. Motivation is a mood. Discipline is a decision. If you're relying on motivation to improve yourself, you're going to stay stuck, because motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes with your emotion. But discipline, that's what shows up when motivation leaves the room. There will be days when you feel fired up, inspired, ready to conquer the world. And then there will be days when you feel tired, bored, uninspired, drained. But your goals don't care how you feel. They respond to what you do. That's why discipline matters more than motivation. It stays consistent even when you don't. Discipline is doing the work even when no one's watching. It's waking up early even when you're tired. It's sticking to your routine even when it's not exciting. Because greatness is built in the mundane, not the magical. You don't need fireworks. You need follow through. The most successful people aren't driven by motivation. They're driven by commitment. They don't wait to feel like it. They just do it. That's what separates pros from amateurs. Pros treat their vision like a job. They show up for it daily. No excuses, no shortcuts. And here's the real magic. When you stay disciplined long enough, the results start showing. Confidence grows, momentum builds. Suddenly, what used to feel hard becomes a habit. That's when your identity shifts from someone who wants change to someone who creates it. Discipline gives you power over your own life. It means your schedule doesn't get dictated by emotions, distractions, or outside noise. It means you're in control. And that kind of self-respect, that's the foundation of real freedom. When you trust yourself to follow through, nothing feels impossible anymore. We glorify motivation, but we should be glorifying discipline. Because discipline shows who you are when things get real, when it's hard, when no one claps. That's when discipline steps in and says, we're doing this anyway. That's where growth lives. That's where the win begins. So stop chasing feelings. Start building habits. Stop waiting to be inspired. Start becoming someone who doesn't need to be. Because at the end of the day, discipline is the bridge between your vision and your reality, and you build it brick by brick, one day at a time.